listening to the Fit Mind, Fit Body podcast, where we explore the connection between a fit body and positive mental health. And our big mission? It's to help 10,000 runners to develop fitter minds in the next 2 years. I'm your host, Michelle Frost. Let's get moving. Welcome to this episode of the Fit Mind, Fit Body podcast. Today we talk to Rosie Jackson. She's only 16 and she loves to run. In fact, she says, running can change your life. Now, just a word of warning, the internet in this recording isn't great, but we've done our best to patch it together. Enjoy. Today on Fit Mind, Fit Body, I am very excited to talk to Rosie Jackson. Rosie is a friend of mine. She's a friend of mine, but her mother happens to be also a friend of mine that I've known for many years, actually, since before Rosie was born. So this is really special for me to talk to Rosie. I'm very excited. Thank you for joining us today, Rosie.
No, you're welcome. It's good to be here.
Oh, you just look so much like your mother. I can't get over it. Anyway, it is really good that you're here. Tell us, Rosie, how old are you? Let's start there.
I'm 16 years old.
16. Wow, I've known your mum longer than that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where did you grow up? I feel it's a kind of a funny question because I mostly speak to adults. I have spoken to a few younger people, young adults, but so I usually say, where did you grow up? But, you're still growing up, aren't you? But where do you live, Rosie? Where have you lived most of your life, if not all of your life?
So I was born in Launceston, so I've grown up here my whole life, really. But, yeah, it's a good place to live.
So it's here, like right there. Well, there. I'm not actually there right now. And how many siblings do you have? Tell us a little bit about your family.
So I've got a younger sister, Lucy, and then I've got a younger brother, Harry.
And is most of your family into sport of some sort? What does sport look like in your family, for those who don't know the Jackson family?
Yeah, we're actually a pretty sporty family. Mum and Dad obviously grew up playing sports, running and triathlons and all that. And then we've sort of just grown up doing it as well. And it's good to be part of a sporty family, especially if you love sport like all of us do.
So in your family, everyone actually enjoys it. Like there's not one of you who's like, oh no, I think I'd rather not do all this sport.
No, no, we do all really enjoy it, and it's good to be around people who enjoy it because it like motivates you to want to do it as well. And then that's always good fun to do it with people that also enjoy doing it.
And do you find a lot of you, like with my family, for example, we've always, well, not always, but a lot have done things together as a family. We found that's been really fun as well, like in a sporting environment. So I've played basketball with one of my girls, and obviously, run with most of my family as well at running club and things like that. And I found that was really helpful too, having some sports that you could also do together. I found that fun.
Yeah, it does help also. Like Dad will be like, do you want to go for a run or something with me? And then you go, yeah, or Harry wants to, or Lucy. It's always good to have someone at home that wants to do something that you're interested in doing as well.
Do you find it helps any other part of your life, this, being a sporty family?
Oh, yeah, especially being a bit competitive and stuff in like PE at school, obviously gives you that edge to want to win anything or to show everyone else that you can run fast or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. That's amazing. When did you start running as a young person? Like, was it something what's your first memory, put it that way, of running?
Well, I remember doing my first triathlon when I was about 7 or 8.
Wow.
And then Mum was like, do you want to do a little bit of running? And I was like, oh, okay, when I was maybe about 10 or something. But I really didn't like it. I actually hated going.
No.
And Mum's like, you want to go running? I would like complain the whole time. And then Mum sort of just let it go and be like, oh, this isn't what she wants to do. I'm not going to force her to do it.
Oh.
And then I think it was just after 2020, well, halfway through 2020 when the world was like shut down and everything.
Yeah.
My granny Ann Jackson was like, do you want to come to running on Saturdays? And I was like, I might give it a try, just, give it a go. And then the first few runs I did, I was just jogging along and everything. It was good fun. And then I think it was start of last year, I thought, yeah, I want to take this a bit more seriously and see how fast I can actually get.
Oh,
So that's how
wow.
it sort of begun. Yeah, so I haven't been running for too long.
So do you think that little acorn that went off, was that to do with the competitive nature that you were talking about before? Like your family's a little competitive because they're all sportsmen. I know both your parents are sporty people.
Yeah, I reckon it did though, but I also think when you really want to do something, then you go for it, like what I
Mm.
did. But before, when I was younger, I didn't want to do it. So kind of having that break of 3 years of not wanting to do it and then coming back stronger and really wanting to do it, that's like the mindset that
Yeah.
really drives you to go further.
What is it about running in particular that you enjoy? What is it that makes you keep wanting to
Just
do
like,
it?
I don't know, I like the fitness side. Like you obviously enjoy feeling fit and everything. And like the faster you run, like the better it feels.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also like being outside, and running with people is good fun, especially instead of running by yourself, because that
Yeah.
can get quite boring a lot of the time.
Do you train with people when you're training? Like
Um,
obviously your family, you said sometimes then.
yeah, I did a bit of training with dad last year, but I mainly this year I've been doing some running with the Triathlon Club, getting ready to go away and race for that.
Excellent.
And then, yeah, and then obviously school does provide a running club in winter that you can go to of a morning and do some running there. So that's really good. And obviously Harry to run with, but I've just, wherever running, like I'll just do it. Whoever's going to take it or anything, I'll just go for it.
That's awesome. So when it comes to training, do you have like set schedules or anything now? You were talking about triathlon, and maybe tell us a little bit more about that. What's going on with your triathlon?
Yeah, so in 2 weeks, I'm actually going away to Harvey Bay to race at the All Schools National Championship race to
That's so
represent
exciting.
Tasmania.
I did not know
Yeah, it is
that.
pretty
Wow,
exciting. Yeah,
congratulations.
so thank you. That's pretty an exciting event coming up. So with the three sports, obviously swimming, running, and riding, riding obviously helps with all that. But I've always
Mm,
been like keen bike riding and swimming, which they all help each other really.
yeah.
So if I don't really have a set training schedule. Like I don't say I'm definitely going to get up and ride and run tomorrow. You'll sort of wake up and see how I feel. Be like, oh, maybe you might go swimming with dad, or I might switch the running to a riding session. Especially because this is a sport that doesn't rely on like teammates. You can kind of
Yeah.
chop and change your schedule to fit you.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah, so it's pretty
it's
good.
so it sounds like the first triathlon you said you did was you were 7. So
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
and then you had a break, you said, like from the running, the just like straight running. Were you still doing any kind of
Mm.
triathlon through that period of 3 years that you've
No,
had a break?
I did the school triathlon through primary school once like the end of year one. I did that and
Yeah.
a little bit of training like 2 weeks before I'd go for like a easy run or something. But I've actually picked up triathlon. I started taking it seriously 2 years ago as well. So everything's
Wow.
kind of relatively new. Yeah.
Ah. And where do you think you might take it? Like, well, the triathlon, for example.
Oh, as far as I can take it,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Take it all the way.
All the way. You love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
good.
for those of you who don't, because believe it or not, people listen to this podcast who are not in Launceston, and some of them aren't even in Tasmania, and even some not even in Australia. So they may not know who your parents are. So, so both your parents or your dad has a bike shop, but before that, he was pretty good. Well, you tell us about your parents. Tell us a bit about their sporting background.
So mum grew up, obviously mum played hockey and she was a runner. She was a very good runner actually. And then I think when she got more into running as the hockey died down, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then she got into the triathlons and that side of sport. I think just before she met dad, around the time she met dad. And obviously dad owning a bike shop, that really helped her like get to racing and
The
things.
bike side of triathlon.
Yeah. Yeah. And dad, um, I think dad got into triathlons maybe around about like 14, 16, the age of that, I'm pretty sure. And then he's done heaps of races and he's done 3 full Ironmans, the
Wow.
big ones. Yeah. So he did about 6 years ago, he went and did the New Zealand one, and then he qualified for the Hawaiian Ironman, the World Championships. So he went away and he raced in that, and then he did the Port Macquarie one, I think 3 years ago.
Wow.
But he's not really racing anymore. No, he's given up his like racing to help us kids to pursue like our dream of racing and competing. So he's like a coach, which is really good to have him there to help.
That's so nice. That's all.
Yeah.
Because he would have lots of connections too in that world, wouldn't
he?
Yeah,
definitely. He knows a lot of people, it helps a lot.
So your siblings are they all doing triathlon, or are they doing other?
No, Lucy does netball. She's a pretty keen netballer. And Harry does triathlon though.
Okay.
He's done a few of them, but he's doing really well in his running at the moment. He's going away on Thursday this week to race at the Adelaide Cross Country National Champions thing.
Wow.
So he's very excited for that.
So what in your life, this might seem a strange question on a podcast about running, but what in your life do you do that's not running that you love to do? And triathlon and running. What else do you love to do?
Obviously, I love hanging out with friends and going to school and doing all that. I actually really enjoy going to school compared to some people. But I used to do 3 years ago before they closed. Do you remember Circus School in Launceston?
I do, yeah.
I did that for about 5 years, and I got to like the competitive stage where I was going to like up to 6 hours a week.
Wow.
This was before running was a thing I did. And I was actually getting into that, and I went away and competed all around Australia and things like that for like the aerial side of things. So I was actually quite into that as well.
Wow. And so do you follow up any of that now? That I suppose that flexibility would be really unusual actually for a runner.
Yeah. We do have all of the aerial equipment in the shed, so like the hoop that you can hang off and then the silk thing. But I sort of haven't been doing that in ages. Lucy's been more doing it, but I've been more focusing on my racing and my riding and things like that recently.
Wow. And what about with school? What do you want to do with school?
I'm not sure really.
Because you're 16 now. This is about when everybody says, come on, you've got to tell us what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Although, just a secret, it won't be for the rest of your life. Most likely, whatever you choose now, it'll probably just be for the next bit of your life.
Yeah. I haven't really given it a thought. There's things obviously like I want to do, and I obviously want to see the world and stuff before, like travel and all that, before I have to sit down and pick a career. But I reckon I'll probably get back into like PE teaching. Obviously decided sports still, like something to do with sport like that, I reckon. Yeah.
You're not just going to go and take over your dad's bike store so that he can retire.
No, I don't think I'll do that.
Does he know that?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's all right then. Good. Or your mum's mum, what does your mum do? Yoga, Pilates?
The Pilates studio.
Pilates studio. There you go.
Yeah.
That's probably similar to the circus stuff.
Yeah. And it still is sporty, so who knows?
Yeah, totally. Awesome.
Yeah.
You're so lucky to have parents that lead the way that for you, because many kids, as you probably would have seen some of your friends, their parents are not so physical or not so sporty, and as a result that maybe isn't something they'll do in their adult life. Do you ever think about that at all, that the fact that your parents have sort of shown the way a bit has helped you?
Yeah, it does. And also it's good how they're not like pushy parents, because you obviously get a lot of kids who are forced to do sports by their parents for their parents' enjoyment, and they're not really into it. But it's good how mum and dad just say, if this is what you want to do, we'll help you, but it's up to you to take control and want to do it as well, which is good.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
that's awesome. What great parents you have.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Pretty good. So one of the questions I ask most people on the podcast, Rosie, is how do you get yourself out of bed to do a training when you know you need to because you've got a race or something coming up, but actually the weather's not great and you just don't feel like it? How do you do it when you know you don't want to, but you have to for some reason? That's it's a time when you need to train.
Yeah, with that, I'm not really someone who can sleep in for a long amount of time. So for me, if I know I need to get up and train, it's either if you wake up and you're like, oh, I can't be bothered to get out of bed, it's like you either want it or you don't want it. If you don't want it, you go back to bed. But if you want it, you get up when you get going. That's what I kind of say to myself.
Wow.
It's like, how much do you want this? And if you really want it, then you force yourself out. Or I set about 5 alarm clocks on my watch
Oh, nice.
to make sure I get up.
So you're very goal driven. That's what it sounds like to me. Like you set out whatever the goal is, to represent in whatever event, whether it's a triathlon or running or whatever. So, or to hit a particular time. Are you ever after those kind of times, or do you obsess over the times after your runs?
Sometimes if I know I've run well, I like to see the times and everything, but sort of I just like going and racing and everything. Like I love the feeling of like going and running, especially with people that I know. Like obviously running with LRC, Launceston Running Club, is what I've been doing. It's just such an amazing like group of people that you can run with, like of all different ages and everything. And everyone's there for the same reason, and it's to run. And it's just like it's an amazing community and everything.
Yeah, they're really friendly and inviting and encouraging of everyone, which is really nice.
It is really nice.
Yeah. What do your friends think about all of your running, or do you find most of your friends are pretty sporty as well, or do you have a mix of friends?
Pretty much all of my friend group are rowers, so they're used to the early mornings and everything. So they get it, but they think I'm pretty crazy sometimes with running because I don't like it. So they're like sitting there like, why do you do this?
My husband was an elite rower at your age and then up into his early 20s, and he still hates running. I have done a podcast. He'll run with me, but I've done a podcast with him, and it's called The Reluctant Runner, because he really only runs because I ask him to run with me, and he knows it keeps him healthy. But because of when he was a rower, like you said, with your friends, it's kind of like something they have to do in between rowing and to stay fit for rowing, and it's often almost a punishment, at least back when he was rowing 100 years ago. So it was quite hard for them. I think they used to have to run up that hill in Trevellyn a number of times and then around in a big loop, and I think they almost died every time they did it. So it was tough. It was very tough. All right, so when do you find that your running has helped in any other part of your life? Obviously for triathlon it helps with that, but do you find it helps you to study, or it helps you to sleep, or just helps you to think about things for the day, or that have happened through the going on in your life? Do you find it helps, that gives you sort of time?
I also find when you go for a run, it clears your mind from everything that's going on, and you're just focusing on one foot in front of the other every time. And however long you do it, as long as even if it's a 5-minute run or a 20-minute run, however long you go for, it just helps clear your mind and reset and like restart to focus on whatever the next challenge you've got ahead. Yeah. So that I also find that really helps to do all those things.
I love that. There's a lot of study now that shows that, especially when you're doing schoolwork as well, how important things like running are, because what happens in your brain is these new neural pathways and things are created, and it makes your study actually easier, which is really cool. I
often find if you go for a morning run or training session, whatever it is, I get to school and I feel like I'm focused, I'm ready, and my brain's alert because it's not almost tired out, it's more alert after doing the exercise and everything.
It's kind of contradictory, isn't it, sometimes? When people say, I'm feeling really tired, I need to go for a run, and then that kind of perks you up, It's kind of contradictory, which I love that about it. And I think it is that it wakes up all of the neurons in our body and gets us going, ready for whatever we will need to do. So do you prefer to run in the morning or afternoon, or whenever it works for you?
I know times when you wake up, you think, oh, I don't want to do this, I'll do it later. And then when it gets to later, you don't want to do it. So I find often just getting up and just doing it then makes you feel better for the rest of the day about getting things done, instead of leaving it to the end of the day when it's like you're all exhausted and everything and just don't want to do it, instead of like getting up and doing it when you're refreshed and just starting the day out nice and everything.
And moving. Do you like to run? I don't know whether you have much difference in the terrain, but do you like to run on trails, or do you prefer on the road and around suburbs and things like that, which is where you live? What does that look like for you running?
I like racing, like fast courses, like on the road and things. But then training, I'm happy to go out into like bushes and things and do a bit more cross-country style running. Because I also, that feels nicer to like go out and do a different kind of area than you're racing, because it's a lot nicer, I find, to switch it up a little bit between training and racing areas.
Yeah. And totally, when you're out there in the bush, you've got that extra element of, nature around you, and not just cars and footpaths and roads and things too, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
To look at. So have you had any time when you haven't been able to run?
I had COVID about a month ago.
Oh, I'm sorry
so
to hear that.
it was a bit frustrating, but I've sort of had this like lingering cough that's just stayed around, and it's going away, which is good to hear.
Yeah.
But just if you're so like into your sport, like you love it that much, and you've got to have, whether it's like a week off, 3 weeks off, 5 weeks off, it does really mentally like affect you, and you find it really hard to like not do anything when everyone's like, oh, it's fine, it's just a week. For you, it might be really, that's your thing, and not being able to do it may really affect you mentally and everything.
I think that's a really good point. And a lot of us, I'm not sure if you've reflected on it, but a lot of people where sport has been their life, and is their life, and they're a big part of their identity, importantly. It's really actually difficult to deal with mentally when you can't do that sport, whether it's football, netball, running, triathlon, or whatever the sport is. It's quite challenging. So it's interesting to think about it before that happens too, I think, and how you're going to deal with it. Obviously, you've worked out some ways having to get through COVID as well. When do you think about when you first called yourself a runner? When do you think that was?
Oh, I reckon maybe the start of last year, when I started to pick it up a bit more and train like frequently and take it more seriously. But that doesn't make you a runner, I guess. But for me, that's when I realized, I'm a runner, and this is what I do now.
Yeah, I think we broke up a tiny bit there, but I think you said that a couple of years ago, when you decided to take running a bit more seriously, that was when you decided that's what you do now, so that you're a runner. And I think it's all again around identity, and it's up to you. Like, nobody else can tell you what your identity is. So I've spoken to some people who might have run in 200-mile races, and they've gone, oh no, I still don't call myself a runner. I'm like, oh really? Okay. That's crazy. Anyway. But that again sort of ties back into then when you get injured, or you get ill with COVID and you can't run, when your identity is really sort of meshed with an activity, how you sort of deal with that. And I think finding other ways to stay fit and all that kind of stuff, and making your identity perhaps also revolve around, I'm someone who likes to be fit, then maybe takes the pressure off whatever that sport is, and you can keep doing some of that as well. Which leads me on to asking how long you think you'll run, which seems a very strange question to ask a 16-year-old compared to when I'm talking to a 67-year-old or a 75-year-old, and or an adult, I should say, an older adult. So how long do you think you'll run for in your life, or how long running will be a part of your life, Rosie?
Yeah, I hope I can run for as long as I can, really. I hope during that time I can encourage heaps of other people who hate running or don't like running to just come along and have fun, because you don't have to be fast to do it. Just plod along, do your own thing, and it does make a big difference in who you are and how you act and behave.
Yeah, I love that. And you take that forward into your future career of some sort of sporting, PE, something, whatever you decide to do, where you encourage people to be more mobile and more sporty, or more movement. Some people, I don't know if you've had this, but some people have a negative thing around the word sport versus, an activity. Like, so running doesn't have to be a sport, or maybe it doesn't become a sport until you race. I don't know. I don't know how to identify it. It doesn't always have to be a competition, and it doesn't have to be racing. Just like any of those, it's like swimming and like bike riding. and all of those things, you can just go out for the love of movement as well. I suppose encouraging more people to do
that. Racing.
Mm.
Yeah, because you can either have a racing side of running or just the running side of running, just going out and running. There can be two like completely different things, or you can like put them together and
do like you and become a superstar, which is what you're doing at the moment. I often ask people whether they listen to things when they're running or if they run with no, headphones on. What do you look like in your training?
Obviously, if I'm training on the treadmill, I have either the speaker going, which is in the shed. The speaker, I'll have AirPods in, but I never run on the road with headphones or earphones. Like mum and dad, that's like a big no, especially with riding as well. Yeah, big safety thing. And it's so many crashes happen and everything. Wow. And it's just, if you're going to go outside and do it, just enjoy like the nature and being outside. And you don't have to have the music or listening to something to do it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's good. Safety, is a very important element, and I think a lot of people miss that. If I do wear one, I feel like I need to tell you that, or I might get into trouble by your mum.
No,
I only ever wear one.
Yeah.
So I can hear what's going on.
Yeah.
Which is it. Yes, very important. If you didn't have running in your life, what do you think you'd be missing?
I don't know. I reckon I'd be still doing the circus side of the sport things but I wouldn't obviously be as like feel fit or be as fit as I am. But I don't know. This is like a part of me now. I'd be like missing a piece of me, if you know what I mean.
It's do.
Like who I've become over the past 2 years. Wow. And it's something like I'm so glad I picked up and I've gotten really into, because running can like change your life if you get into it and love it. And it's such an amazing thing.
That's awesome. That's kind of a quote right there now. Running can change your life. I'm going to take that. I had that's right. The thought I had when you said that, for you 2 years is a long time. When you're 16, 2 years is a nice chunk of your life.
Yeah.
The last 2 years have also been COVID. So for many people, the last 2 years have been, all the things that COVID means. But for you, you've added this other dimension that you can take forward into the rest of your life. And I just think that's awesome. So well done, you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And you're here sharing it with everybody. So that's even better.
Yeah.
All right. Before I ask you for your tips for beginner runners, is there anything about running in general that you'd like to share that we haven't talked about so far?
Not really, actually. I think we've covered everything. Just go out and do it and enjoy it. If you're going to do it, obviously do it the way you're going to enjoy it, because there's nothing worse than running and you don't enjoy it. Because believe me, I go running sometimes and I really don't like it. But if you find a way to enjoy it, it makes so much difference into how you feel and how it like means to you and everything.
Yeah, we broke up that last tiny bit. But I said, I think you were saying that that running makes a difference to how you feel and to just how your life in general and how you move through it. That's what you said?
Yeah. Sorry. That's basically it.
I think my internet's not been as good as it could, which is a little bit disappointing, but it's okay. We can push forward. Do you have any tips, or what would be your tips? If someone came up to you and said, Rosie, I'd love to start running, what would you tell them to do?
Okay. So with starting, if you're going to start running, probably the best thing that you can do is find someone in the same position as you or a club. If you go running with other people, it's more motivating and it's more fun to, go have a chat or go for a coffee after or something. Yeah. Just running with other people just makes so much more of a difference than running by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think that's very true, that having other people around you is so much more motivating. And even on those times when you don't want to go, it's like knowing someone else is even as simple as that,
Yeah.
knowing someone is waiting for you, or that, you know, you've made arrangements, certainly helps as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's good.
Oh, I love that. All right, Rosie, thank you so much. Before my internet is completely gone, I'll say goodbye to you on the recording, but I'll also try and say goodbye to you after recording. I just wanted to say a massive thank you. It's a big thing to step up and have a conversation like this, and you've done yourself and your parents proud, as I knew you would. You're a very confident young lady, and it has been a delight to talk with you. So thank you for sharing some of your wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for having me on here. It's been good fun.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Fit Mind, Fit Body podcast. I'd love to talk to you about your running journey. So send me a message on Facebook or on the website, and let's do it. For a bunch of resources on mindful running that will help you get and stay mentally and physically fit, head over to the website fitmindfitbody.co, and I'll see you there. Plus, I'll be back here in your podcast player a few times a week. Hit subscribe now so that you don't miss an episode. And before you go, I'd really appreciate it if you'd leave a review. It'll help more people to find the podcast and get inspired to start running. I'll see you soon. Bye.